Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It is Tuesday, February 22nd, 2022. 0222 2022. Is that right? Welcome, Bahram. I see you're number one today. And Shannon, you are number two. And I do hope everyone is having a wonderful day. And Frankie, you're slacking off. You're number three. All right. I'm going to get started. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Hope everyone had a good weekend. We had a long weekend. Okay, so today's topic is, should America disrespect cultures not considered American? No worries, Shannon. No worries. I'm glad you're able to make it. Okay, so what is American culture? Who defines it? America is home of hundreds of people, and who can say what is acceptable and what is not? Okay, so I guess this really shouldn't also be about America. I guess this could be about countries all over. But what we hear a lot in America when people get frustrated with people from other places is the first thing they'll say is, or I won't even say frustrated. For some people, it literally is hating on another person and where they're from and how they look and what have you. But the first thing they'll say is either go back to your own country or go back to where you came from. And a lot of times those people were born here. You have people who were born right here and they're being told to go back to where they came from. So if we were all to go back to where we came from, the only people who would literally be left in America would be Native Americans. I mean, right? I mean, they were here first. So when who defines American culture? Who is to say who is an American and who isn't? Who has the right to say that? Welcome, Mud 0068. Who has the right to define who you are or who you are not? Do we and again, this is not just for America. If you go to other places around the globe, you have people who have been displaced and they're having to leave their own birthplace to go live someplace else, and they hear it there too. But at the same time, in some of these other places, when you make those comments, go back to where you came from, sometimes those people were born right there. So having said that, that's my opening. So if anybody wants to come and join in and speak on it, you're more than welcome. Shannon, I know you're working. Frankie, I know your situation. So Mud and Bahram, if you would like to join, that's fine. The only thing I ask, of course, is always be respectful. Bahram, welcome. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you? Did you have a good weekend?
Good. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Nice long weekend.
Nice. So I can only speak for myself on this, and for me, here in the UK, we have we have little China, little areas of the UK where they're segregated and they stick to their own people. More so here in the UK, I think it's more like Indian areas. I'm trying to think of the word, like how you have little China, little streets or little areas of your city where that's where they all stay, that's where all the restaurants are, and people go there to eat and enjoy their culture. And I can't say that I would ever hate on these people. I think there are problems with that where people come over and we're told by our governments that they're coming over to assimilate with us, to mix in and all that. But then what you'll find is that the governments put them in areas and keep them all together. So you're creating like a neighbor next door type effect where some people will take, it's like living with a partner. You're never ever going to get on with them 100% of the time. They'll annoy you at times, and whether it's rational or irrational, it happens. But uh, in regards to what you were saying, I think the only time that comes into play is if these people are treated differently from the natives. Um, I don't know this for sure, but I think in the UK we have council tax. So on top of your rent or mortgage, you also have to pay roughly about £100 a month for your bins and your water and all these things. Like the council come round and empty your bins, you get water into your house. I think in America it's called something different. And I've heard, and I don't know, again, I don't know this is for fact, but that Muslims don't pay this £100 fee because of their religion. And now, if this is true, that will cause division, no matter what, whether it's right or wrong. That will cause people to say, why do I have to pay it and they don't? And then on the same, you also have, like what I said, you have streets and areas of town that is all you see is that race or that religion, that those types of people. And people can get annoyed by them, people unfairly or not. So I'm just saying that is where it's coming from, whether it's right or wrong. I don't know. I think there could be more effort done by both sides to assimilate. If we were mixed more, if we were, instead of the government putting them in areas and not helping them integrate with us, it would be better. But that doesn't happen.
You make some really good points, but at the same time, do you think that it's all about assimilating? Because I'm not just people who are foreign and come over here because they're running from something bad happening in their own place, but I'm talking about just walking down the street and someone says go back to where you came from, and like ever since COVID, you have a lot of people who are attacking people who they perceive are Asian, and sometimes these people are not Asian, and they're being attacked. But then when you say go back to where you come from, and a lot of these people were born here, so again, I say when you say go back to where you came from, especially in America, so does that mean that or rather, let me put it like this: you can be in the store, and two people could be talking Spanish, minding their own business, talking Spanish. Then somebody will say, you're in America, speak speak English. If I'm talking to my friend and I'm not bothering anyone, and we're just standing there talking, why does it bother you? So things like that. So should we say then that people who came over through Ellis Island, who were speaking Italian or Polish or something, as soon as they got off the boat or something, should we say, you're in America now? Because that is kind of you're kind of talking out of both sides of your mouth. So again, I say we're all from somewhere. Everybody is
Yeah.
from somewhere, especially in America. We're all from somewhere except the Native Americans. But we all were either brought over here or we came on our own, but we're all from somewhere. So that is what I mean. I mean, not necessarily, the government putting people in different places, whatever, but just, do we have the right to tell someone to go back to where they came from? Or,
I think this is. I think actually Crucible Man mentioned this, and I can't remember his exact words. It was in relation to another thing where, what are we striving to get? Because ultimately, like we are all different. We are all different, but we're mostly the same. And different cultures, different religions, there are going to be small conflicts. But ultimately, like when I had you on my show, we talked a little bit about immigration and what my views were on it, and why the people on the right are deemed sometimes racist for their views. And it's mainly, I think, because um, we agree that forced immigration is happening. And again, the government are bombing countries like in the Middle East, Afghanistan, Iraq, and then we're flooding our own countries with these people, and I don't blame them. My sister married a Russian um, who came over from Latvia to make a life for himself because there was no hope, and I don't blame these people. I would do the same in their shoes. But I think where it comes to where they're crossing the line is when they try to tell us how we should live. Um, for example, the main one we can all throw up, and again, I had a Muslim on my show last month, and he corrected me on a few things. But the age old thing about the Muslims is that they believe in Sharia law and they oppress their women. And if they were to come over to the UK, and we saw that a lot in 2014, 15, 16, where a lot of Muslims were coming into the UK, and certain cities like Luton and Rotherham, there was a lot of rape and a lot of women being targeted, and the media were pushing it on to the Muslims, and these Muslim men, and videos were on social media of streets just bombarded with Muslim men. And although I know that some of that is division and it's deflection from the real problems, it is a real thing. Like there is that problem. So what I would never do as a Scotsman is to go over to, let's say, Japan. I always use them because they are very cultural. They're very proud of their culture and nationalistic. I would never go over there and try to tell them how to be. And I think that's where conflicts start. But in regards to what you were saying as well about who has the right, I don't like that. That opens a whole can of worms, because with my views, I believe that in my utopian world, we should all be free to move from country to country and free to do so. But in the world that we live in, where we have to pay taxes, you have to favour the natives, these people that have paid into the system all their lives. You have to favour them, and that brings me to another point: is here in the UK, and something that I've seen firsthand is when these people come over. Again, please remember, I've got a Russian stepbrother. I've married an American, but these people come over and they are handed keys to houses. They are handed first class NHS care, like they're at the head of the queue, and they're given jobs. Meanwhile, you have native people, whether they're Scottish or English, who are on housing lists. My sister was on a housing list and was told she would be 6 to 7 years for a house. And also, my granny has waited 7 months to see about getting an appointment to have a tumor removed that is cancerous. That's recently happened in the last couple of months. But yet these immigrants, which again, no offense to them, but they are being treated more favorably, and that's where conflict can start.
Okay. All right. Jill, you have the mic.
Oh, hey, I was coming in at the end of his comment. So, in reference to the question, I probably would want to get a base of what the question fully was, because I
Well,
can
maybe.
comment to his response, but I'd rather comment
Oh,
on the
okay.
actual
I mean, if you want to
question.
comment on what the topic is, that's fine. If you want to comment on what Bob Ram said, that's fine too.
Oh, okay. Hey, well, hey, everybody. Initially, I want to say, hey, what's happening, y'all?
Hey, Jill.
Hey,
Um,
bud. Hope you're
right on,
well.
right on. I'm well, absolutely, you too. And so, this is always like a should America disrespect other?
Should America disrespect culture is not considered American? And what is American culture? Who defines it? America is home to hundreds of different cultures. Who can say what is acceptable and what is not?
Well, I mean, overall, that's a hard question
Okay,
because
okay. Chill. Let me stop you for a moment. Usually I ignore comments like this, but just see apparently you're new to my show and I have a very open format. But the Let's Go, Brandon, I don't care what side you're on. I don't tolerate that. So, um, having said that, you
Can,
gotta go.
can I ask you something?
You have to go because I am not going to deal with things like that. I am not going to deal with things like that. My show is not that kind of so
I'm
chill.
not quite sure what
Go
happened.
on.
What did he say? What he said?
Just I mean, I don't deal with that let's go Brandon. I don't deal
Right.
if you all, even if you're just saying nasty things about anybody, no matter who they are. I'm not dealing with this. It is not that type of show.
Okay.
Usually I
I
would
didn't know what he said.
ignore it. So go on.
He might have been joking. I don't know. You might want to hear him see what
Well,
he
you know
said. I don't
what?
know if he. Yeah.
Again, I'm not going there. So chill.
Yeah. I got you. Roger
Go
that.
on.
All right. Either way, I do know indifference. We'll all have. First of all, culture is a wide range of. It's vast because you got different cultures within not American society, but just and then within each city, region, households. So culture is a huge thing, and it's all comprised of different things. America was built on, you know, all types of culture, immigrants, people who are considered native, and that right. So I think we already respect most to the most degree we respect each other until we don't want to. I mean, until we get mad at each other, or but I think for the most part we respect each other. Until we get pissed, you know what I mean? And people want to say things that are hurtful or until we don't agree, right? And so that's the biggest thing is being respectable when we don't agree, because a lot of times we can take advantage of the good things as well in people's different cultures and take away from that and then leave, the either the people or the what we consider the bad things to the side, and that's the thing that I think we should more concentrate on more on when you don't take a pick and choose, on a whole culture of people, what you want to take from them and then denigrate them on the other end. Take a whole just rape a culture and not well to take from a culture, I should say. Not sorry for anybody who got offended with that. But take from a culture and then but don't acknowledge them. And that's the thing, our
So
problem,
you're
whether it's
talking about
Japanese
cultural appropriation.
to some degree, because it's a thin line with that. Even with that, it's a thin line when you paying homage. Sometimes you are trying to pay homage, and you're not trying to do anything purposefully to hurt them, and you can call it appropriation. But some people just really just it's not that they're not thinking that hard. Like, hey, how did I? Sometimes we get all the odds out of different cultures. Like, yeah, that's cultural appropriation. But some people just like, no, I like to wear this. You know what I'm saying? Or I just like I never thought about it. Like my bad. Like damn. Like what? So where's that line? And we all got to teach each other without getting personal. Like well, that probably ain't cool to where I don't know what they did with the Gucci was the blackface. Somebody thought it was a good idea, and they probably thought you know maybe that's paying homage to some degree, or I don't know. But it was just not a good look. So we gotta not get offended when it comes across, because sometimes people do stuff or act a certain way just to fit in, and they don't necessarily mean to be that way, but they are being that way to some degree for us. So I think that's the main thing we should pay attention to. Pay attention to others' cultures and appreciate the goods and bad, or just leave. At least if you appreciate them fully. Don't just take from these different cultures, and that's what could be disrespectful for me. But as far as just being like, hey, the hell with Russia, I don't believe in the media. I never did believe in the media. I never will. It's not even media no more. So, or I don't know if it ever was. But the fact is, like we don't know what Russia's plight. I believe, or like any places over there. We just don't know what's going on. It's hard to be from the outside looking in. And then with me being in the military and know how we do, we've done things to our advantage as well, where it'll make people not like us. And so I don't know. I don't know about that, but I just know we always have to make sure that we're respecting each other to some degree. You know what I mean? Especially when we benefit from the great things of each other's culture. It's just one, but it's mostly when we're disrespectful. I mean, or mad at each other. Just keep that in mind.
Okay, no, you bring up a lot of good points, and you're opening up a door for another question because you know it does come down to respect. I mean, comments don't have to be made, things don't have to be said, and we're all guilty of saying things somewhere along the line that we probably should not have said. But why is the world the way it is right now? Is it because we're not respecting each other? So is it the fact that we don't care about how someone else, you may do this in your house, but I do this in my house. You may celebrate Christmas this way. I may not celebrate it at all. You may go to church every Sunday. I may, go to church or temple on Saturday. So does it come down to respect? So, Ba, you have the mic. Do you want to comment to what Chill said, or?
Yeah, definitely is down to respect. Like, I think going back to what I was saying earlier, like all these cultures that are in our cities now, or in our countries, it's a good thing that they're there. Life would be very boring if you were just to eat your own cuisine and not sample another country's culture. And that is why we go holidays. Me and my wife have talked about, like, we want to go to Japan, we want to go to Thailand, sample their food, see how they live. And that's the beauty of life. To me, that is what life's all about. So when they come to our own countries and set up shop, we all go there, we all support them. Not all, obviously. There are some people who are set in their ways and whatever, and each to their own. But ultimately, I think we welcome them. I think where the conflict in these beliefs, whether they're right or wrong, come from is what the media push out there, that this country or this race or this religion is this way. And sometimes, or most of the times, that it's not true. They're creating hatred and division again amongst us. But yeah, sorry, what did you ask me after that? What was the question?
No, I was
I
just
forgot.
asking.
My mind's
Did
gone
you?
blank.
That's okay. I was asking, did you want to comment on what Chill was saying?
No, I think Jill was spot on as well. Respect, the cultural appropriation stuff is something that I struggle with sometimes with, for example, terms. I don't know if this is on the same route, but terms of geographical terms, and also cultural appropriation. I have no offense to it. I think intent is as well. Respect and intent is very important. So if someone was to slap on a ginger wig and wear a skirt and start parading about trying to do the Highland fling, as long as the intent was they were genuinely having fun and not taking the piss out of the Scottish people, I wouldn't care. I don't care. Well, more power to them. It's embracing our culture. And again, with terms like, maybe I'll ask it, and please don't get offended, but I'll ask you guys both. What do you feel about terms like um, Rusky, Yank for American, Rusky for Russian, Paki for Pakistan, Scot for Scottish, Chinky for Chinese people? Like, for me, I was in a car with my wife and her friend, and I said to her, do you want to get a chinky tonight? And that is a common phrase in the UK and Scotland for sure, where if you want some Chinese food, you say, do you want to go for a chinky? And her friend, who is very leftist, liberal, SJW type person, was so offended. And I was like stunned, because I was like, what? I was like, how is that offensive or racist? And she was like, oh, you don't say that. You don't say that. And I was like, why? It's a geographical term. Like, if someone was to call me a Scot, I'd be proud. He's right. I am a Scot. And if you're called a Yank, I don't know where that term comes from, but Yanks are Americans, Ruskies are Russians, Poles are Polish. I don't get that. So I think this is where the right and people go up.
I'm William. I'm picking up a mobile order.
So people get offended too easily, and this is where the problems can arise.
Okay, but I agree with you and I disagree with you, because I don't think that people, and I'm saying this as an African American who has had, over the years, just things that have come my way personally, things that I have seen, just growing up, and just the fact of, things that, different cultures experience. The chinky thing, I would probably take a offense to that. Now, I don't know if you would say that to, I'm assuming you're referring to an Asian person. So,
Well, Chinese.
Okay, so would you say that in front of them? Maybe they may not take it offensive, in the UK, but here or over in China, that they may. I don't know, but I personally think that that's offensive, and I say, would you say that to them to their face?
Yeah, I think that is what I mean by context and respect. Like, if I said that, which me being me, the type of person I am, I probably would, because I don't. I mean, I do have a filter, but sometimes I say things and I don't think about it. But if I was to say that in front of a Chinese person and they was to say, "Oh, sorry, can you not call me that?" Then I wouldn't, and that's all we need is a bit of respect. But going, more importantly, I don't know why these terms are deemed as offensive. They are geographical terms. And I think I know why. I'm just asking you guys if you know why, because the pride has been removed from all of us. Like, being proud of your country is a thing of the past. And I saw
not for
this.
me. I'm proud as fuck to be from where I'm
Okay,
from.
wait, hold on. Hold on. I will pass the mic. I don't have one of those shows where everybody
I wasn't
just jumps
interrupting.
in.
I was just making a comment.
Okay, I will pass the mic, and it sounds like someone who just got blocked. So, go ahead, Bob Ram.
Yeah, so I've seen this before I even got into politics and conspiracies growing up through my teens, that things like national anthems and flags were being demonized, and you weren't allowed to be, you weren't even allowed to sing, to do the God's Prayer in the morning at school. You weren't allowed to come to school with a Scottish flag. And this was all demonized because, bringing it around full circle, immigrants were coming into our country, and the media were making out that these people were offended by our nationalism, which, and it brings me back again, like you saying that you would be offended if I used the word chinky, but I could almost guarantee that a lot of Chinese people wouldn't be offended. So you see this a lot, where the left are being offended for a group or a minority, and they themselves wouldn't be offended. And sorry, I'll just finish. This was something that I looked up last night when I was doing the freedom of speech research. The examples that the guy that I was listening to said was, don't you think it's very he used an example of a lad's magazine with a pair of boobs on the front, and these have been demonized and banned in some places because it's misogynistic and women maybe won't like it. So he said, how misogynistic is it to say that women won't be able to handle seeing that? That's patriarchal. That's a very patriarchal thing. And the other example he used was, who are we to say that black people can't be privy to maybe dangerous ideas, or whatever the term he used. That is very it's like saying that white people need to defend black people's ears, which is very racist in itself. So it's a bit, I've butchered that, but it's basically saying when you get offended for other people, you're being that thing that you're offending them for. Yeah.
Okay, chill.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So, sorry about that. When I looked down and said I got muted, I'm like, oh, I didn't know I wasn't muted. So I apologize, y'all. But in general, this is an awesome part of the conversation, right? I always said this. I think that happens a lot, and you're right. A lot of leftists do that. They get mad for a whole nother race or a group of people, and a group of people don't even be mad. Like I think, when I heard you was mentioning that, I was like, you let the other people. I can't tell women what's offensive to them. That's misogynistic, or like a man telling a woman, "Oh, you shouldn't be mad at that, or you shouldn't call each other that," or you know what I'm saying? Who am I? I'm not a woman. You know what I'm saying? I'm not. That is very important. So if you were to say that chinky or whatever, it sounds definitely for me like it does raise some ears. I can understand exactly what Solid Blue said, because I bust out laughing like, "Oh shit, no, don't say that." So I would think that you wouldn't say that around a Chinese person, but that's how we always get into these rifts as people, because typically you may not have meant anything by it, but it's like, what? You should know. Like, you should know not to say nothing like that. You should know. And some people may know, but overall, that's when I always look at a person's, like, especially if I know the person, where I feel like they don't get that vibe. You know what I'm saying? It's not even in that realm. I don't want to take something out of context. They might have didn't mean it in that way. So it's like, they ain't giving me that vibe. They're not being disrespectful. They were just having it. They said something out of the conversations. You really got to know those moments, because when you escalate those moments, those are the most awkward moments. Just being in a room, somebody says something, and everybody's laughing, and if it slipped on purpose, that's the part that you just don't know. But it's like, man, we just escalated something over that word, and he didn't even really mean it like that. And so now now he's racist. Now now this person's pissed, and all over what? Just a miscommunication, and that's just how the world is. But I would say that I would let a Asian or a Chinese person tell me what's offensive to them. Now if I know if a person is using it in that manner, and a Chinese person is like, say on a panel, and they're just calling them that, and I'm like, hold on, bro. Like, you need to understand that these people are trying, they're not laughing with you, they're laughing at you, and they're taking abuse of that word just because they can use it. I mean, you can kind of know that too, but for the most part, it's up to that culture or that person to tell you what's offensive to them. I'm like, you can't, you know what I'm saying? It just really is. And you mentioned something that, because I've been at, I don't know, like black folks in general, our culture, we might use the word Oriental, or just Americans in general, especially older Americans. They use the word Oriental. You call that around an Asian, they will they'll tell you that's a rug. That's not a person. And so
I'm hungry now.
So well, yeah, bro. Yeah, so I would definitely care about that. I mean, that's something that came from an Asian person that told me, like, that's not a person, that's a damn rug. I'm Asian, so respect me. So, but that was coming from her person that's Asian, and so that's how you kind of find out with things like that. And it's not on purpose to kind of disrespect people, when it's in certain aspects. But yeah, people can be assholes. But don't let nobody tell. I'm not about to tell a woman what she should be offended at and what she shouldn't be, or any kind of minority for that fact. You just gotta. They'll tell you. They'll let you know, and then you respect.
Jess, you have the mic, and we'll see what you have to say.
Oh no, well, I just honestly think that looking in the chat and reading the words "Let's go, Brandon" and then automatically blocking somebody is like,
Well,
what's the point in that? I
apparently
thought
you are the
I had the
person.
mic. I thought I had somebody.
Excuse me. You are the person apparently who did it.
No,
So
that's my. That's my friend.
I do give people the mic, but I mean, come on.
Come on, what?
Come on. And I have a very open show, but disrespect, I'm
How
not
open?
going to put up with
Who's
it. If you want to
disrespecting
keep
you?
going down this road,
See, look how mad
I will block
Look how
you.
mad you are. Why are you so mad?
If
Just
you
because
want
of
to, if you
because
know
I'm a
what,
Republican or what? I don't understand.
excuse me, I don't know if you're a Republican or not, but now that you've said it, I could care less. I have a lot of right wing people on
Okay,
this
well
show,
then what's
and I never
the
get to
problem then?
this point. You know what? I tell you what. Why don't you go
You
on
haven't
someone
even let me
else's
speak.
show?
You haven't
And
even let me speak. You
apparently,
haven't even let me speak.
you have been speaking,
You
and
haven't
you have
let
been
me speak.
talking in the chat. So, what do you have to say?
I just think you're acting very childish. I don't understand.
Okay, all right. Well,
like
then you know what?
you seem like a very you seem like a very even
you, you know what? This is not working. So you can go on someone else's show
unblock my
and you
other
can
account. You fucking
and you
piece of
can
shit
talk.
cunt.
Okay, great.
Oh,
Okay,
idiot.
okay. So this is what guys, if you guys have been on my show before, I never get to that point. But this is what I'm talking about. If you guys have been on my show, you guys know that, you guys can talk. And I probably have more right-wing people who come on my show than left, middle, whatever. But that is something I'm not going to put up with. When I go on other people's shows, sometimes I am the only liberal on the show. I don't curse at people. I don't call people names, whatever. I just listen. And thank you. Juju is my admin, so she also blocked them. So I don't put up with that. So just so you all know. So if you all want to go into that territory, this is not the show that you want to be on. Okay. Ballround. What would you like to
sorry.
say? I'm sorry. Do you want to respond to what Chill said?
Oh, man. I can't remember. I was just so annoyed at that guy. Just attitude.
Well, yeah, let it roll. I want to say something real quick. I'm kind of familiar with him. I'm not sure what's his thing today, but yeah, I just let it roll. Like when people come, like I'm typically, it's not affecting us. You know what I'm saying? So we just move on. That's the way we.
Okay,
Yeah.
and again, I apologize because usually I just block people, but I've been looking at him in the chat, and I know it's the same person who I just blocked. So, okay, so let's just keep going.
Yeah. Again, Chill will agree again, but I just find it, this whole being offended. I think we'll get more into it on our show at the end of the month next Sunday. But these terms are always being shifted. Yesterday's term was okay. Like I think Will mentioned Oriental. I think at one point that was the term of preference, and now it's shifted, and now that one's become offensive. I seem to remember when I was little, we had to call black people of color, and now that's offensive, and now it's gone back to black. And then you have what's the other one? The other one that springs to mind is transgenders used to be called was it hermaphrodite, or so there was a term that was a medical term, and they now get offended at this term, and now we have to use this one, which is all well and good. And again, most importantly, respect. And I, for certainly, if I was ever in the company of any of these types of people, I would ask, or like I would obviously say what I normally say, and then if they got offended, I'd say, "I'm sorry, I wasn't to know. What do you prefer?" Because I'm a nice guy, and that's the difference. You have to be respectful and nice, and if you're not, then you're not going to get anywhere in the world. But where I draw the line is like being told by law, government putting bans on certain words and speech. I draw the line at that because freedom of speech is key, because today it might be a word that we're all behind banning, but tomorrow it might be a word that suits the government. and you have to stand firm, you have to stay strong, and there are assholes in the world, and to finish off my point, if I was to be called a Scottish asshole, it's the asshole part that I would be most offended at. I wouldn't at all be offended at the Scottish, and more importantly, the reason why I'm glad that that person has the right to call me a Scottish asshole is because it then gives me the power or the knowledge that he does not like me, he or she does not like me. And if you ban speech, you don't know that, you won't know. So it's a harder task to know who to trust and who to believe if you start banning speech. So yeah, I'll pass the mic.
Okay, Chill. And if anyone
Yeah.
else wants to come on, you are welcome. Chill. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. And I also, Yank. I mentioned. You know what popped in my head? Yank is short for Yankee. By the way, just so you can know, Yankee is short for Yankee, which is Yankees. Americans are considered as Yankees, right? Well, at least now, it was that was the term that for the Northerners, and then the Southerners in the Civil War. It was, it was Confederates, and and then it was the Yankees, and yeah. So the Yankees won, and then the American is Yankee, and that's where you get that probably Yankee short for. I wouldn't get mad at that, and so it's really about who will get mad at what, right? So you don't know until you know, like you said, and so you just adjust accordingly. Like like I said, LGBTQ, and then somebody says it's not LGBTQ anymore; it's LGBTQ something else. I'm like, oh shit, how was I to know? So you just adjust accordingly, and like you said, try to be respectful. But where it's bad is when some people get offended so steeply, so hugely, and don't consider the aspect. Like I said, the context. Like, damn, it's not like I was trying to offend you, and then you want to get like jump down my throat, and that's where it kind of becomes an angst or an argument. Or you call me, you might just lash out back at me, not understanding that I don't know, that what's going on. So that, like, I remember Sava when she was in here. I think that's her name, and she just said, she stepped back and asked a question. Well, what do you mean? Or did you mean that in this way? And something simple as that, having some kind of reeling it in, and then just stepping back and getting some confirmation, because the person may not be meaning it, and just communicating and understanding first can be awesome. But if it's not there, it's going to escalate.
Well, let me ask this. So, if people say offensive things to people, if people call people when you call people out of their name, um, do you think that, once you said it, I mean, do you think that people should automatically be aware of what they're saying? When people call people out of their name or make comments, whatever, a lot of times they do it because they know exactly what they're saying. So do you think that more people are just ignorant and don't know what they're saying, or do you think that people do know what they're saying?
If somebody call me the N-word, of course they know what they're saying. You know what I'm saying? So it depends on what context was. Again, like even if it was somebody that was out of, they still may not mean it in a ill intent. You know what I'm saying? So you got to take that in consideration, whether you like it or not. So you check them, but don't escalate it. Like, hey, I know he didn't mean like that. Like, so I have to do that in real life. Like, yeah, what up, and they're like, nah, you don't get to do that, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I know you ain't mean like that, and I appreciate you. It would just, kind of reel that in, and that's what you do. But if you kept somebody coming to say, hey, you chink, or hey, you, N-word, like, that's a difference. You can tell the context of it, and you know what I mean? Because you're a person. Typically, you can feel where that's coming from. If it's a real malicious intent in that. And in that case, no, you don't put up with I don't put up with nobody's crap. Now that ain't happening. But I can tell context, like, context is.
Okay, now Mama Bear says maybe that's what they were taught by their parents, but at the same time, it's like if I'm taught, racial slurs or to say, nasty things about people from my parents, when I get older, shouldn't I know better?
Yeah, you should. But what if it come a term like yank or chinky or like something like hermaphrodite or something like that? Like how would I know that's offensive? You know what I'm saying? If I until I know it's offensive, how do I know that? Like it is. That's the thing. Like I don't want to be called black. I want to be called African American. No, I'm not an African, so I want to be called black. You know what I'm saying? So how, you know what I mean? How what the hell supposed to
No,
know
I
this?
mean, no, I get it, and the terms change, all the time. But I mean, I mean,
You
at
don't
some
know. My
point,
point is that those ambiguous terms. I'm not talking about those just blatantly disrespectful, like oh boy just did. You know what I'm saying? That's uncalled for. Oh, but overall, just something like that. Those yank. How else? So I don't care about nobody calling me a yank. Somebody might though. Like I wouldn't care. So I don't know. It's not that simple in some people's eyes. Some people may take offense, but you only know until that person tell you. I'd rather not be called that, and that's what they tell you adjust accordingly. And that don't make a person racist though. That's the problem. Somebody else will hear that on the internet and automatically peg a person as being a flat out racist, or they see a situation to where two people in an argument, and I'm trying to hurt your feelings. I could be the least racist person, but I want to hurt your feelings, so I use a word and I might stoop low to a situation, but then does that make me a complete racist? I don't know, but it's hard to tell, for us because we're outside looking in. But for the most part, you got to be cognizant of the situations and the intent, and people, and so I for the most part, those ambiguous terms, I ain't got no time. I only knew Oriental was a bad term to use towards people when somebody said, you know what, that's not a person, that's a rug. Don't ever say that. And I was like, okay, cool.
okay. Now, was that an Asian person that pointed that out to you, or was that someone else?
Yes, it was. It was when I never forget. I never forget it because I didn't mean that. And I was just, it was a good moment. It was a great moment. We were having fun, and I said that out of not even knowing. It's just and I just
Okay.
felt stupid. I felt stupid, but I mean, they told me, and I moved on.
Okay. Ba, you have the mic.
See, where does the line get drawn though with these terms? We're maybe spending too much time on this, but terms like chink, even like I think we're focused on that one a bit too much. Like we could use, and I don't know why. Maybe you guys know why, but like Jap for Japanese, Ruski for Russian, Pole for Polish. Like these terms are technically there's no offense to them. They are, I mean, I don't know if they are in the dictionary, but if they were, it would literally be look up the word Jap and it would be a person from Japan. So where does the line get drawn in where the person, because let's say, for instance, imagine or let's say hypothetically 99% of Japanese people do not mind being called a Jap. The Jap from Japan, he's a Jap. My football team signed a Jap, right? But that 1% does. Where does the line get drawn on these people are the ones with the problem? And ultimately, like, it's all up to each individual. But if I was to meet someone that would be offended by not just these terms, but offended at almost everything, which these people are becoming more and more, I wouldn't be friends with them. I couldn't deal with that. I couldn't deal with that in my life where I had to pussyfoot around them in case I offended them every step of the way. So I think people are becoming snowflakes and like getting offended at everything, and that is not a good thing.
Okay, now Mama Bear says what is getting confusing is they change things so much you never know what to say. So when you say they change things so much, Mama Bear, I'm assuming you're talking about society. Society is constantly changing things. I mean, yeah, I mean you're right. I mean things that terms that we used 100 years ago, of course, we're not using them now. Terms that we used last month,
Yeah.
we are not, using them now. But I just think that sometimes when I look at people being called racist, and even the way I think of things, is it the fact that people are becoming more aware because of the fact that society has changed so much, that so many things are going on, that people are just becoming more, with what is going on, in their country, in their neighborhood, in their schools, in their workplace, and they're starting to say, well, wait, don't say that to me, and like Jill said, for us, we're always looking in, so I mean, we've been called so many names. We've been called so many names. We've been called, yes, I'm just going to come out and say it. We've been called nigger. We've been called colored. We've been called black. We've been called um, Negro. We've been called spook. I mean, there's just so many terms that are negative that we've been called. So, yeah, we do get, so, snowflake or not, there's just some things that are just sensitive. But then with other people, with white people, you've been called whitey, and just all kinds of names. We've all been called different names. So
Is cracker one?
Cracker. Yes,
Yeah,
Cracker.
the one,
Yes, that was one I was trying to think of. I mean, yeah,
do you know?
so I mean, but in your country it could be different. In my country it could be something else. But chinky, I can honestly say, and I'm not trying to harp on that word, but that's the first time I have ever heard it. So I've never heard that word
Okay.
before.
When the wife came over to the UK, we were in a furniture store, and it was Christmas time, and there was like pillows and Christmas bedding, and the word cracker was spelled out with blocks, like wooden Lego block type things on a shelf, and she made me stand next to it, and she took a photo, and she's killing herself laughing, and I'm like, why is that funny? And she's like, oh, you don't know? And I was like, no. And she goes, white people get called cracker. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's the first I'd ever heard of that. But again, to me, it's sticks and stones, and I know the most of the subjects, surrounding reality right now with Joe Rogan and the N word, and again, it is a repulsive word. I would never use it, but I would defend, like, I don't want it banned, and that sounds harsh, but I've just told you I would never use it. But if we allow government to ban it and whatever punishment in place, whether it be a fine or jail time, whatever punishment they see fit, you're opening a can of worms there. So I would rather the ability of people to call me a cracker than that taken away. And I don't know how you guys feel, but it's maybe not territory you want to go into, because I know it is a touchy subject, but that's where I stand on that.
Touchy subject or not, but like Chill always says, we need to talk about it. We need to have a platform where we can talk, and I hope this is a platform where we can talk. So if things don't get talked about, then nobody will understand or get it. Chill.
Yeah. So what I do want to say is that's it's when a word becomes. You mentioned, you asked a couple questions. I know they were kind of rhetorical and not at the same time, but what I can say, when a word, not just those kind of words, any kind of word, when does typically a word become a negative word? Now, that that's when a person, they start using it in a negative connotation, right? Over through time, I believe civilized was a negative term. When people, when they came over and raided America, they needed to go civilize those Indians. You know what I'm saying? That was the first kind of way it got famous. Now, if you tell me that for me, that's to the Indians, that was not a good thing to hear. Oh, we need to civilize y'all culture. You know what I'm saying? Maybe to the one person that was coming and saying that, they might have been thinking they were, well, we just need to help y'all, correct y'all, and this, I don't know, but it was still it was connected to as a negative thing. So now we use it in a matter of hey, you just gotta be civil. That's not so it changes. Even the N word, whether people want to like it or not, it may came from a super racial thing to now, hey, what up, mom? You know what I'm saying? So it's different things to different people, and that's why I say when you find out, especially depending on where you at, you just gotta know when you're in especially different culture or different area, different country, you gotta just know, hey, adjust accordingly. You're not gonna be not yourself because it is freedom of speech. I do believe in freedom of speech, but after knowing, you gotta know what's coming along with that. I don't think Joe Rogan's gonna go to jail or anything like that. That's not gonna happen. They're gonna ban the word. Can't ban words, but he can. They can. Somebody can not necessarily. Freedom of speech is free. You say whatever you want, but the response to what you say is also free. So if I stop listening to your show, or if I stop, buying your shit, then that's my choice as well. So, and but as far as just those words, they become those words like chinky, meaning in reference to over here in America, it sounds a big ear like chinky. It's like it's a chinky eye, like it's like a joke, chink. Like to call an Asian person a chink is like it's a racial term over here. So we would think like, oh no, shit, don't call nobody that, And so for me to think like, oh, you don't know that, you should know that. That's the assumption we may make a lot of times. So, but you're from a different culture, different area, so you may not. That word is completely different. Certain stuff that just culturally, like say for instance in football, you go to the suburbs with the white folks on the football team, they'll tap you on your ass. Pop, pop, pop. You go to the hood, you tap a brother. Brother don't play with the booty jokes. You know what I'm saying? That's just not. We don't do that. Don't touch our butt. Don't. It ain't like certain things happen in different cultures that we highly offended on. You come around. I don't know if you ever seen like the little thing circling the internet where it was a joke about the dude would go past people and he would pass gas. And then people be laughing, but he did a group of brothers. And he passed gas, and they were ready to fight. So it's just you just gotta know the room. like the video gets good until he goes around a couple of two different videos of brothers, and they was ready to whoop his butt. So it's just you really gotta know the room. And then over here, chink or chinky, that's the racial term, so we wouldn't use it over here. So that's kind of how it is. You just gotta kind of know, and if you don't know, you learn and you move on.
Okay. Mama Bear, she says she has a phone call. So F1, you have the mic. We will go back to Mama Bear.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going. It's going. Thank you for waiting patiently. You have the mic.
No problem. Yeah, so we got a situation at the moment in South Africa. There's a court case going on where the third biggest political party, this guy's he's a wild one. I mean, he's got no filter on his mouth and the words he says, and their party continuously. This is why they've been taken to court. Their party continuously sings out in public, on live TV. Kill the farmers, kill the border, all this kind of stuff. And back in the day, like in the apartheid era, it was their struggle song. And what his defense is that he's saying they're singing it or they're chanting it, but it doesn't mean that they actually are going to go ahead and do it. But in the second breath, that like he said on live TV, he said that we are not calling for slaughter for white people, at least for now. So these are the kind of terms that he's been taken to court for. And in his defense, he's saying that these are just struggle songs in their day that they would sing during the apartheid era. So it's it's a fine line you got to step on. I suppose back in the day, it would.
Okay, I'm sorry. F1, are you driving with your window down?
No, my windows are up, but it's pretty windy here.
Okay,
I'll pull over quickly. There's some space here. Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is, what you could say back then compared to the same term in nowadays. I think it's a bit different. You got to taken into context, and people, with everything going around, it definitely means a whole lot different than what it did back in the day.
Okay, and again, another good point. Mama Bear, are you back? Would you like to speak? Ma- Mama Bear? Okay, sounds like she's still on the phone. Okay, so Bahram. Okay, so you have anything you would like to add? Because people have said a couple of things. So you want to add anything?
Not really. I can't really think too much right now. I think everyone's really in agreement and bringing up some good points. No, I'll pass the mic.
Okay, I do want to ask you a question. The word "fag" over in the UK, that means that means a cigarette, right?
Yeah, because that I was actually thinking about that story when I was telling you the one about the cracker. When I was over in America visiting the wife's mum, I was telling her a story. I think it was about my mum smoking. She was like, "If you ever smoked?" And I was like, "No, I can't stand people who smoke. Well, not people who smoke, but smoking."
Mhm.
And I remember when I was young, and I hated it so much that my mum had one fag left, and I snapped it, and she was so mad. And when I said that word fag, my wife's mum's eyes lit up. And she was like, "Wow, what did you just say?" I was like, "Yeah, we call cigarettes fags." And she's like, "Oh, okay." She goes, "We don't say that word over here." And I was like, oh, "Okay, I get you now." So, when Chilwell said about, yeah, you're from a different culture, you're from a different country, things might seem differently, and you've just got to learn your environment, and that is possibly true. Again, I don't want to bring it up again, but I just don't see, and it's not that big a deal. I'm just pushing back on what Will said with the terms, geographical terms. I don't see any offence, but and I would also push and add that the people who are offended by being called a geographical term where they are from, it is their problem. And I would still be respectful because I'm not an asshole. If they was to say, "Don't call me a chink, I'm a Chinese person," or whatever, I would call them it. But I think there is an element, or a huge element, in my opinion, of people being offended over words. And here is something that I could add. I think that the reason why the society has been pushed in this direction, and a culture of snowflakes, or whatever you want to call these people, have been created, is because in schools and in universities they are being taught to, don't entertain talking to people like me, and a good way to shut them down is to just call them racist. So by saying you're racist, or if you're losing an argument, you can just turn around and say, "Well, you called me a chink, so you're racist, I win the argument." Just declaring the win, even though, because they don't want to get into it, they don't want to get into facts and back up their argument. So they'll just beat people. It's like racism can also be a stick to beat people with. And I often think I'm not racist, and anyone who knows me and has listened to me for longer enough, you'll know that. But I often wonder that if I am ever confronted with someone, and we're having a good argument or a good debate, and they were to throw out the racist card, if I was just to say, "Okay, yeah, so what? Let's carry on the argument," that what would that sound like? What would that be like? Because that is what they do. A lot of these people do just throw out those words as a way of winning arguments, and I've seen it, so I know that it does happen. Yeah.
But you have to admit that there are some words that you just should not say to people.
Yeah, I mean, asshole and prick and the C word and all that, like, they're all words. I know this is probably going to be it's not going to be well taken, but I would lump every word in the same category, whether it's the N word, whether it's cracker, whether it's like gringo. I think that's another one. Like, all these words, ginger, like I have ginger hair. Ginger people get bullied in school. It's a thing here in the UK. I don't know if it's the same over in America, but there is a real if you're ginger and you're in school, you've likely been bullied, and I was bullied, and I'm not bullied now, but even in the workplace, I get called a ginger
Okay,
prick.
let me stop you for a moment. And ginger,
Yeah.
is that red? Someone with red hair?
Yeah.
Okay.
So all my life I've been called a ginger prick, a ginger asshole, and when I was young it hurt. And my sister's also ginger, and she's dyed her hair from the age of 13. She's dyed her hair black, and there was something up in the media the other week there, and I screenshotted it, and it was saying that a lot of ginger people have complexes because of the way gingers are bullied, and I lump all those things in the same category, and I know because it means more to you, the N word, and it's not a nice experience to go through. It means more to you. And a lot of people say white people don't have a say because they won't know what it feels like. I disagree with that wholeheartedly, because I I know we weren't slaves. Well, we weren't, as in I wasn't, and everyone on this planet, well, not everyone, but 90% of the world weren't slaves and all that. But ultimately, it's a word that if you let it get to you, they win. The other person wins. So that's how I treat words in general. I would never let any word get to me to the point where that person was able to ruin my experience of the day. Like, they wouldn't be able to upset me in any way, because ultimately that means they win. So I don't know if, I hope I haven't, that is one of the more triggering kind of views that I have. I really don't know where. I think it's a dangerous road to go down, taking away words in general.
Okay. Chill, before I go to you, I'm going to go back to Mama Bear and see if she's on. Mama Bear, you want to take the mic? Mama Bear? Would you like to take the mic? Okay. She is doing something else. Okay, Chill, go ahead.
Okay, cool. Well, Byram, it's good that you got the courage, man. I applaud you for the courage. Just have the courage to speak on things that I can tell, like you get uncomfortable because you get super aware and apologetic, which you don't necessarily have to be. Like I said, not around me, because I kind of know. Yeah, I feel like we do got understanding, and it's the context of what the conversation is once again. So, uh, for me, those things, listen. I've been called out of my name a bunch of times. Like, I don't give a damn. Like, I refuse. Let me tell you something. I refuse to have a button on my forehead and walk around with a button on my forehead saying easily interrupted. Your day easily interrupted. So somebody can come along and look at that button on my forehead and just mash the button anytime they specifically please by saying a simple word. Now, there's a lot of things that can deter my life or be racist or be racial, or you know what I'm saying, like me not getting a job or an opportunity or of some sort. Yeah, I'll get pissed off at that. But you being in a bad mood or you hating me, I will not let that in my domain. Especially if you don't, especially if you're a passerby. Oh, ugh, you know what I'm saying? It's not happening. I don't. People don't. I laugh. Like, every time somebody called me that, or if I've been called that, I will laugh. And you know, to see a person turn red because of it, in some cases, was like, wow, I didn't mean it, but that makes it even funnier because you mad at me and you try to insult me. Now you mad at me because I'm laughing because I'm like, well, it was because it's funny to me. I tend to see things in a funny manner, life in general, because I'm like, what pose you when I said me in passing, I said hello, and the person just calls me the N word just because I guess they were in a bad mood, and then they just got really, they scolded, and just really looked at me all the way till they walked to their car. Now, it was the funniest thing, because like, what in your head made you think that was okay? What made you think that you're gonna ruin my day because your day was ruined? Um, and just what just makes you say that out of the blue? Like, what, you, bruh, like something's going on in your life that I don't know. You thought that was gonna work. That shit wasn't gonna work. I'm not that easy, so I'll never be that easy for somebody to control or get to. It just won't happen. And I'm with you on that, Byron. Don't make it no mistake. I'll take that, but overall, I still don't want to be just a dick out here and just be disrespectful. So sometimes I will filter myself, um, especially if I have respect for you. Like we might not agree, but I say the N word because I know Solid Blue don't necessarily want to hear that word. You know what I'm
Don't
saying?
say necessarily. I don't like it.
Yeah. So I would. So since I respect you, the respect I have, the immense respect I would have for you, I would try to be not that I have to, but I wouldn't like less likely because that's just an affinity I have. So it's nothing wrong with that and adjusting accordingly because I genuinely love people, even people that don't like me. I don't have no time for that hate. Even that person that called me a nigger, I would think like, I hope he's okay because he's probably going through something real in his life to where you twisted, demented, or I feel sorry for you. I mean, I'd rather help you than just hate you back because I think that's the problem. We always fight hate with hate, which never is a continuous circle. When it's gonna stop, it will never.
Okay, Mama Bear. Again, do you?
I'm
Hello.
sorry.
That's okay.
Hi.
That's okay. What would you like to say? I'm so happy that you're taking the mic.
Oh yeah, because I'm so nervous.
Don't be nervous.
only-
You pretty much know everyone that's here. Don't be nervous.
I know. Well, it's almost like I don't like it, even if you were in a bad mood and someone, you got no right to say like even the N word, like I don't care what kind of day you're having. You don't say that. You don't say any, like, you just don't call people names like that. It's just, I guess I liked it where, when you have a child, they're like a clean slate. They don't know racism. And it's like, he's been going to the same doctor since he was a baby, since he's been born. And just one day we had a conversation and he heard us saying about a word, trying to say a word in Chinese. And he said, like, Dr. So-and-so is Chinese. And it's like, it's nice to see that he doesn't see, like, different people like that. He just sees them as a person. And that's what we're raising him to be, that everybody's the same. They just might look different on the outside, but they're still the same on the inside. That's
Okay. Let's see. F1, you want to comment on anything that Mama Bear or Chill or Baram said? Or whatever?
Yeah, I'll say something about racism. Again, sorry, I always refer to South Africa because it's where I'm from, and it's where I get all my experiences and things that I've seen happening. So, regards to racism in South Africa, like they will literally, there have been cases where people have been actually imprisoned for, saying in South Africa, like in America, you've got the N word, in South Africa, you've got the K word. And if you call a black person the K word, you will literally get thrown in jail. That's how that word is hated in South Africa. So a lot of people, tiptoe around the topic, but I can say for sure, like white people in South Africa get slandered all the time for being racist, specifically by one or two major political parties and their followers in South Africa. So racism is a huge problem in South Africa, and you will literally get thrown in jail. There was an old lady, I think she was in her 60s or 70s. She put a comment on her Facebook just over a picture of a bunch of black people at a beach during I think it was like a Christmas holiday, and she put a comment there saying like, these bloody monkeys have dirtied up the beach or something. They threw her in jail and gave her like a 500,000 rand fine. She actually passed away in jail. So that's how serious it is.
F1, can I just interrupt for a moment because Mama Bear wants to know what the K word is, and I said what it was, but I could be wrong. So can you just say it? What the word is?
If he goes to jail.
Okay, well then I will say it. I will say it, and you tell me if I'm correct. Is it Kiefer or Kiefer? Kiefer?
Kefir, yeah, basically you pronounce it.
Okay,
Kefir.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
it's a very ugly word. It's just so ugly. It's even it sounds ugly even just saying, I can just imagine what it makes someone feel, how it makes them feel. But yeah, in South Africa, racism is a huge, huge problem on the white folk and the black folk. They just I don't know. There's people going around just spewing lies and hatred and causing a divide between the two nations. And they need to stop that, and everyone just needs to get along. So,
But
yeah.
in South Africa, isn't it like that because of everything that went on with apartheid, and a lot of your laws now are coming since Nelson Mandela was released from prison and ultimately became president, correct? A lot of those
Uh,
laws are coming because of that.
yes, mostly because of that. But you know that, like this political party, I keep referring to them because they are so radical, and they say so many outlandish things. That it's insane that they get away with it. But like these guys say that all white people need to go back to Europe. We are just visitors in South Africa. It's not our land. And and he refers to, like, someone asked him, what about my child? He wasn't born in the apartheid era. He was born in the 2000s or so. And he says to them, yes, all white people, you're all visitors here. You don't belong here. And he says that this is all on national TV. And yeah, it's pretty bad.
It is. It is. So and see, and that's what I meant when I said, should you tell people to go back where they came from if they were born here? A lot of times people were born here or born in a particular place, and it's like this is this is my home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no,
okay,
it's quite at the moment it's quite bad. That kind of stuff needs to stop. Does no one any good.
okay, Chill. I know you are dying to say something. So what do you want to say?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't. Well, that's a different dynamic, and this is awesome that you get to speak about the dynamic in South Africa, because I feel like I need to be more abreast and educated on that as well, because it's the total opposite from right here, from here in America, right? So that's what they would tell us. They were like, "Hey, go back to Africa," and it's like, "What? Hold on, we have, if anybody should stay here is us. We built the country literally on our backs, and labor and blood, sweat, and free labor at that, and we didn't even get anything for it, and you still call us lazy and dumb, So those are the things that we would go through, and then to see it from your perspective is a totally different perspective. You may have came. I don't know if they were initially there, but you might have came, and then you are there, and so you're not those people who were there that were holding anybody under any kind of apartheid. So that is interesting, man, and it's man. That's why I say we have to fight. Fighting hate with hate never works. We have to have some love and some to some degree with each other, respect each other, and be able to move on. But it's hard when you got a history of just such. Uh, it's just hard when you got a history of such angst and hurt, and that how do you fix that, man? It just takes time, man. Time can heal, and just being a representative of what you would like being done or being done to you is always an answer. It ain't gonna always work out. It's gonna be hard sometimes, and that's the thing. Fighting with love, typically, I'm not saying let nobody run you over, because I don't play. But overall, if I have to take the high road, if I could choose to take the high road, I will. Sometimes you can't. It's time to get dirty and down and dirty, but for the most part, and it's hard sometimes. It's hard. It's really hard to be like, all right, well, I'm gonna ignore this. I'm gonna ignore this, especially if in a bad mood that day. And sometimes we're gonna falter. But I really think like just fighting hate with hate is never the answer. And I just appreciate you be able to. I'm gonna read up on that too. F1, just more so. I mean, I know this, the racial terms and all of that, but I just never really know super duper, except the movies I might have seen about it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'll check that.
Chill. Have you ever heard of a book called uh, Kaffir Boy?
I believe so. I don't know. I don't forget who it was written by, but
I would suggest that you read that book. I had to read that book in high school, and a Lutheran high school at that. So when I read that book, it's a book that you probably should read. I would say that everyone should probably read that book.
and Frankie asked me a question, and she said, "How do you get to that degree?" And I'm not quite sure what he. I don't say he or she. I don't know if it's he or she. It could be either. She.
She.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I apologize. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what you meant. To what degree and which degree?
You were talking. I think she's referring to. You said to what degree in terms of like love. I don't know what
Oh
did.
yeah, to be able
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause you gotta, man. It's hard, but I try to practice it. Try to practice. That's because don't have a lot of restraint and discipline in a lot of areas. So that's and sometimes it's like I said, some people are better at other things than I can understand that. Some people's temperament is better. And so if you can't do it, I'll try to do it for you. You know what I'm saying? So we gotta we gotta count on each other in some ways. Like everybody ain't good for everything, but you gotta support the people who are able to do things you can't do that you can appreciate. Because somebody couldn't maybe go on the street, somebody maybe you get caught the N word, you may not respond like I respond. But it may not be the best response, but you about to go with this response anyway, because whoever this is about to learn today. You know what I'm saying? So, and I take the high road, but our biggest job is that people who do, you got to support them. And that's the thing that was good about like the civil rights movement here in America, because although we all couldn't be Martin Luther King, he had people who supported him still in certain ways and certain objectives. Whether it was a Malcolm X who didn't agree with him, or certain people that would silently either fund or support him in some ways, and like especially like the typical black family, they would take up funding from them that could support them along the way, even that because they couldn't do the same thing. I'm too busy during my day life to do certain things, but you see something out there or people out there that's trying to support that cause, you try to support in your own way, until you can get to that point. Because me personally, I just going through those misunderstandings in life, like a bunch of situations, like in boot camp, I went through a huge misunderstanding where I thought somebody called me a racial slur. It was a big thing, and I sat down like a week later, and it hit me that he probably didn't say it. I mistakenly thought he said it, but those kind of events making somebody, it just hit me wrong. You know what I'm saying? Making a guy feel like he's racist, or that could turn me. If I'm not racist, it could turn me racist by being misunderstood. You know what I'm saying? I might be a good-hearted person, and then I go through some situations with another race that are negative, and then I make that whole situation the whole race. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be that person either. So I'm leery of it, and I try to make sure I.
Okay, Bob, you have the mic.
Yeah, what the F1 Grid Talk said about what's happening over in Africa is something that I did look into quite a bit when maybe 2015, 16, when I was more into politics than conspiracies. And I used to follow Lawrence Southern and Stefan Molyneux and Rebel Media, I think it is. They were covering it because our media, and I'm sure the American media, weren't covering it. But that is a good point to bring up. And again, it's not a competition. It's not like but this is what I mean when I'm talking to you guys, and I want you to see that there is division being caused. And I, like me, you, Chilwell, everyone, we need to, we're being divided by race, by sex, by color, and by the media. And I'm under no illusion that what's happening in South Africa, where when I was looking into it, it was, everyone knows what happened back in the apartheid, but now these black men are now rocking up to farmers in Africa and killing them and pushing them off their land and taking back what is rightfully theirs. In that's one way of putting it. But in my view, two wrongs don't make a right. And also, the people that own the farms now weren't the same people that took the farms in the apartheid, and and then so that we're going back to like where we are at in current day. Things like what Malcolm X said, and a few other people, I think the Unabomber and there's a few other historical figures have said that the liberal left, or the white liberals, they're the biggest threat, because they're going to push the world in a certain direction, and that direction is what the government and the guys that really run the world want them to push it. They are doing the work for them. A great interview that I'll send to both Chilwell and Solid Blue after the show is Yuri Bezmenov. He was an ex-KGB informant, and he was on an American talk show in the 80s. And he, there's a 6-minute clip. I think the interview is about an hour and a half long, but that is probably the best video that I could ever send someone to try and wake them up. That, along with one other documentary that I'll possibly send you in the future. If you watch that documentary, what he is saying is exactly what is taking place right now. And the black people taking back their farms, that doesn't happen naturally. Men don't just wake up one day and go, fuck it, I'm gonna wait to kill these white farmers and take back my land. You can guarantee, if you look into that story further, there will be media frenzies trying to force them to do it. There will be, government will be telling them, it's okay to go and bring them back, and to wind them up and hype them up to go do that. So we need to stop the division, and we need to come together. It's not whites versus blacks. It should be people united versus the government, because they're the only ones that can take away our freedoms. And that's where, when I make myself clear, when the things that I say can be deemed as, edgy, or they can offend people, but ultimately my heart is in the right place. I want everyone to be, on the same side. And I see that people are being used like puppets. Joe Biden saying, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. That for me was a telltale sign. Like, he was playing you guys, and he doesn't only just play the black people, he plays whites as well. So I just hope that people will wake up to it one day, and that, yeah.
But I keep hearing a lot about the liberal left, the liberal left, the liberal left, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I know you all are going to get tired of me saying it. There are assholes on both sides. It's not just the liberal left, because the conservative right, they're also doing a lot of things that are wrong. The progressives, they're doing stuff that is wrong. The far right, they're doing stuff that is wrong. Everyone is pitting each other against each other. But on Friday, when I did my evening show, I was talking about individual responsibility. I think I talked about it on one of the shows last week also. It still comes down to, you still have people who still do not like people. This is a fact, who do not like people because of where they come from, or because of their color, or because they pray to a particular god. You have people who don't like Jewish people. You have people who don't like Italians. You have a group of people who still think and are still blaming COVID on Chinese people. And every time they see a what they perceive to be a Chinese person walking down the street, then they are attacking them. So it isn't just the liberal left. A lot of people on the right have said things that they shouldn't say. And again, we people of color are usually caught. We are just the ones that are. You can say that we're being played, but we're not stupid people. We know exactly what is going on, but we have choices. We either choose this or we can choose that, but neither one of them, in my opinion, really care. So, everyone, to me, has a responsibility as an individual to decide what they want to do. Is it right or is it wrong? And we have to, make that determination on our own. So, Ba?
Yeah, what I mean by that is more the left and their morals or lack of, I would say, like, and maybe the extreme left's a better term than the liberal left. I don't know, but like most people on the right or conservatives have conservative values, traditional values, religious values. People on the left and the progressives are pushing the world in a certain way. And if you get into conspiracies and for example, here's an example that goes through my head, right? I know, or I believe that the world in the next, say, let's say 20, 30 years, um, the plan for the world by these evil people that run the world is to have a one world religion. So when you know that that is the plan for the next 30 years, you can then look at what's happening now and you can see that that is adding to that agenda. So the left, in my view, are pushing that agenda for the elite. The elite are using the left, as Yuri Bezmenov said. He calls them useful idiots because they are doing their job for them. They're pushing the boundaries of speech and pushing the boundaries of religion and pushing it all to that goal. And the right are standing strong and saying, no, this is wrong. Marriage, like all this stuff, like traditional values. And when you stand by your traditional values and things that have worked, you get called things, and you're not progressive. The world's changing. We need to move on. Those types of things. And again, you would have to take them individually and defend them individually. And I'm not saying I'm for all on the right for all of them. But generally, that is what I meant by what Malcolm X said, and other people. It's a trait that the left have where morals and things don't really go with them. It's like they are what the media and well, I'll go on again, right? You're saying that Chinese people are being attacked for the COVID, right? How do you know that? Like, I'll just ask you. I don't know, but how do you know?
Well, I mean, if I see a video on TV or if I, know uh, 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 Chinese people personally who have,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I mean, they
So
didn't
so so
make
so
they
yeah.
didn't
So
make
so
make that up.
yeah. So that's what I mean. So we are seeing that instance on a TV screen, and I've said this before on the show. All the media need to do is highlight one story, and that gets the whole population believing that that is a huge problem. One murder, the woman last year that was raped by a police officer in the UK. Now we have drones in our streets, or an app that women can tap, and a drone will come and help them feel safe if they feel like they're being followed. And that's what I mean. The media in America will highlight one time where a Chinese person, and if I remember rightly, I remember that story. And if you look into that story, it was not because they were Chinese, it was something else. But the media will lie to you and tell you. In fact, I could probably go back and look, but I do remember that guy with the red jacket walking the streets, and he was beat up, and the media said that he was beat up because these people believed that China started it, and it was all a lie. So this is what I mean. The media are not on your side, and they'll highlight problems and make them sound as if they're huge, and they're not really. And people will get behind them. So yeah.
Okay, chill. Chill, you there? Okay, we lost Chill. Shannon says, "What if an Oreo woman tried to run you over with her car? We would have a problem. We would definitely have a problem."
My bad.
Okay, Chill.
I had it in my phone. I'll never get that phone call. Messes it up. But yeah. So this is you know, I learned about not too like a couple of years ago. There was well, how about I start here? Somebody mentioned, even F1, I think mentioned that You know how like the farmers, I just want to get this off my head before I go further. The farmers taking back their land or whatever the case may be. I feel like that's a thing. No one wants to go through like I was the person that took your land. Don't blame me. But to some degree, I feel like as a people, if we don't, what I meant by love is I meant all around. And so to be able to, maybe it wasn't yours, but you have to understand the dynamic. And too often, um, there's blame to go around. Just because that doesn't take away from, if you understand the dynamic of your own country, that's a problem. If I had to teach a person that just because you're not my color about slavery and the way the government may have been manipulating the whole system, and how if this was never really a sovereign decent country. It never has been. You know what I'm saying? People will mention, like, I often have to go through this conversation with people that are not of my race to think we go back to the good old days when media was media and government was honest. It's like, huh? What? Like, are you crazy? Like, what government is this you talking about? And even like when the flag, with the Kaepernick situation, that's two different meanings for other people, and so they'll get offended. Well, you disrespect our country, and you do. What you mean? What country? Talking about the country we fought for, and we had to come back and be under basically apartheid here, Jim Crow. That's the country you were talking about. So and people, for you not to be, it pisses a person off because you're not sensitive to our, and say, well, it wasn't me, but you're not even okay. It wasn't you, but you still don't even understand our plight. You're still benefiting from something, and so it would be smart if I'm a person. If I'm a person to be like, you know what, I need to understand that situation, then it would make you be like, damn, maybe you know what? How about before they come take our land, how about we get ahead of this shit and say, you know what, let's come together and figure out a way that we can share, or we can make them benefit from the things they have. Maybe we didn't cause it, but we're sure benefiting from it. And so maybe we can make this square and not make them seem like they're crazy for trying to come back and do the same thing. I mean, it was egregious what they did. So now they come back and do this. That's just like the irony of it, right? But opposed to getting ahead of it and saying, hey, you know what? We need to really go ahead and figure out a way to give reparations in this country. And that'll get ahead of it. But you're unwilling, the unwillingness to understand another culture or their plight, or to even, go to the table with them. You can give a little bit, which may go further, give a lot. You got to blame yourself for that as well. So it's blame to go around, because it's never good to come over and just disrupt somebody else's stuff and be cruel to other people. But that's what's been happening. This is how this country was built, and so now you're mad that you're on the other end of it. People have no what's the word, empathy or even sympathy for you. So I always tell people that this is American history. You may not want to learn about your history, but you didn't do it. Once again, if you're going to use the way, why you're abusing me, I didn't do it. Same thing when you learning the history, you're going through all of that. Don't take it personal, because that wasn't you. You're not your forefathers. But you can't correct that behavior. You can't show that understanding, and you can't get in front of it. So your unwillingness not to do that, not to share, not to understand, you're biting yourself in the butt. So I do tell people that a lot of times, and it's never good. It's just never good, the conflict and the cruelty of any kind of situation. But you might have been a part of it.
Okay. F1.
Yeah, no, I agree with Trill. Instead of coming over like to a farmer's land and say, this is my land, get off of it. There is plenty enough to go around. There's plenty enough for everyone to have some land in South Africa. And if they, right now they're trying to implement a law. It's called expropriation without compensation. In other words, they want to take away the land legally and give it to the people, and that farmer is still liable for all the costs to that farm. And this is what they're trying to implement at the moment. And South Africa has a perfect example, like with Zimbabwe, when it was still Rhodesia. They did the exact same thing. They killed many farmers. They chased them out of Zimbabwe. A lot of them came to South Africa, and look where Zimbabwe is now. They were the one of the top countries in providing.
I think we just lost F1.
Whereas both
Okay.
just
Okay, there you are. We lost you for a moment.
yeah, sorry. Yeah, so I was saying Zimbabwe is a perfect example of what could happen, if they carry on the route they're going. Whereas there's plenty of land to share and for everyone to grow and be a part of society and provide. So yeah, I agree with Joel.
Okay. Well, I am at the 140 mark, so I'm going to start wrapping it up. I am going to take one more round around the room and see if anybody wants to put in their last words. So, any last words you would like to add?
Just my normal message about stopping the division and having conversations like these, and it's the only way that we're going to solve things. So tonight has been good preparation for Sunday's show on the freedom of speech stuff.
Yes, it is.
So I'm thankful for that, because a lot of it is, talking to people. I think I know I'm sitting doing research on freedom of speech, but ultimately testing yourselves with people who disagree is where I find you'll learn more stuff of value. So I'm really looking forward to Sunday, and I thank F1 Grid Talk and Chill for helping tonight with the the back and forth, and yeah, it's been a good show.
Okay, and F1, my email is saladbluesister@gmail.com. If you can drop me and if you can send me an email, because I do want to ask you something. So if you can do that, I would appreciate it. So I will go to Chill first. You have any last words you want to add?
Oh, he's got a call.
Oh, he has a call. Okay, F1. You want to add any last words?
Yeah, I'll just end it off with everyone just spread that peace and love and get along. There's life's too short to fight over crap. Nonsense.
This is true. This is true. All right, and I put my email in the chat. Okay,
I'll
so
send you one.
Chill is on the phone, so I will just wrap it up. Again, this was a touchy subject. We got deep as usual, but again, we have to talk about it, and it all comes down to respect. We don't have to agree with everyone, but if we could at least respect them, so and respect each other. So for everyone who was just listening, Shannon, Frankie, I do believe Daniel was here, Mama Bear who came on, thank you, and of course Chill, F1, and Bahram, thank you guys so much. So F1, if you can send me an email, that would be great. Juju, thank you for being here, and thanks for being my admin. And I will. Oh, let me also say for Bahram and I, we are going to be debuting our show together on Sunday, the 27th. It will be on Zoom. It will be pre-recorded and uploaded, and it will be a roundtable type discussion. So, Bahram, if you would like to say a couple of words.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward to it, and we do have a list of people that we would like to come on and help us. The 5 panelists you'll all know from Solid Blues show, and then we'll hopefully add a 6th each time. We're going to do once a month, but what I was thinking about tonight, I haven't actually said this, is we could possibly do a follow-up show on Podbean so that we can get the interaction maybe a week after it, or what, maybe during the week before or after your show, or in place of your show, if you're okay with that, doing the show that everyone can comment on it if they've watched it and get the interaction, because interaction is key. If we get questions and things from people, we can jump on our platform on Podbean and take call-ins and questions, and and things. Yeah.
Okay, so and we will be talking about this more during the week. So, okay, that's it. So, you guys, always speak your truth. Go where the wind takes you, and I hope to see you tomorrow. Bye. And Juju and Frankie, thank you so much for the golden beans, and Frankie, thank you for the super chat. And Shannon, thank you for listening. Let's see, just going through some of the comments. Okay. Sheila, I don't know if you're on the phone, but if you want to throw something out there real quick, you can while the music is going. If not, that's okay. Let's see. Okay. And Frankie, thank you so much again for listening. And thank all of your friends, because I know you guys listen to my show on playback. So thank you. Thank you, Juju. I like my music too. Okay, y'all, that's it. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon or evening. Bye.